If you're starting a new business, or if you start a new business, you're looking to grow a business, don't ask me about what to do in your downtime, because you should have zero downtime, because you should be focusing on growing that business all the time.
So just for the record, as an entrepreneur, I don't know what downtime is. You can send me notes and yell at me or whatever. It's just, we have 2 businesses. We are very involved in our
working on a third.
Weekends.
Weekends.
We are very involved in our communities, and luckily we get to do business with our significant other. So everything is all intertwined.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about how you handle your time as an entrepreneur or business owner, because I know there's always discussion around work-life balance.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
Because I hear that all the time, this work-life balance. Like, and I guess it's still a big thing. I don't know. Like, I really don't pay much attention to it. I've heard a few people talk about it. I've seen it on like some people's posts and podcasts and articles about it. Clearly, I haven't read them all. I haven't probably read
You probably haven't read any of them.
Maybe I glanced at it 1 or 2, but I hear what people say about it, and I'm just like, I think of balance, and we talked about this earlier. I think of a scale. And when you put something on a scale, like something goes up, something goes down, like one has more weight than the other, and then you're trying to always balance the 2 out. Like, I don't know about work-life balance.
When it comes to work-life balance, I think it's more work-life integration, because work and life, especially basically
how they go together,
how we live, right? Because it's not how everybody does it. Our lives, our work and our business is so intertwined. It's like a piece of Twizzler, right? So it's the licorice all wrapped together that you can't neatly separate it.
Licorice wrap. Oh, you're talking about like when you buy Twizzlers and they all in a pack and you try and separate them sometimes and they stop.
Twizzler,
and you snatch it out the back. Oh, you're talking about the ones that's the little strips, like looks like spaghetti.
Well, the kind that your mom has right now, she has like the red rope ones, and it's like
you can pull each strand out if you want.
Yeah,
you can it's like a wire where you can untwist it. Unravel it. Yeah.
I
don't like those.
I go over to my mother-in-law's house and sneak in her snack box and eat all the licorice.
Like candy box it's a snack box in her living room. It's been there for years.
Grandmas are always the best, and so mother-in-law keeps snacks like the grandkids are coming over.
Yeah,
and I'm the closest thing to the grandkid.
Who goes in the snack thing the most? Her. She's trying to front like it's for everybody else, but whatever.
Well,
shout out to mom in the snack bin.
Before we're done with today's episode, we plan to just talk to you about work-life integration, just as we see it, and hopefully that will empower you to make good choices about how you use your time.
You was about to say balance.
How you use your time for your business efforts as well as for your personal efforts. So, Chief, do you believe an entrepreneur or business owner can have a personal life completely separate from his or her business?
I can only speak from my experience. I believe from what I've experienced and what I've seen and people I know who are in business? No. If I don't believe, I don't feel, whatever it is, and this is strictly my opinion. And I am not, whatever those disclaimers they put, I am not an accredited business advisor. I'm just saying, if you're truly passionate about listen, there's people on our team who are on our team and they all have side hustles, right? And they work on the weekends, on their side hustles, the projects, during the evening or whatever. We all do. And some days we come in, we tired from doing extra work. We stay up late, blah, 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 blah. And then we come in here and do what we got to do. So I don't believe there's this separation between my personal life and business. They are connected because what I do, I enjoy doing. So I get pleasure out of that. And like, I get grief about that back in the day from like some of my family members. So
I
they're
still
like,
kind of give you grief, but not like
not like
that
nothing
one.
like my other family. Oh, you need to take time off. You need to get a break. I'm like, bro, I like what I'm doing. Because you hate your fucking job, don't put me in the same bucket as you. I'm sorry. Like, you don't like your job. On Wednesdays, you're screaming hump day. And then when Friday comes, you're like, Friday. And then y'all running out the door. Like, think about this.
You trade them 5 days for 2.
If you show up, that's a good one. Trading 5 days from 2. Put that on a t-shirt, right? But think about this, and I'm gonna get like, this is some deep. If you work 5 days and you're like, you can't wait for the weekend to come. Just think about you're throwing away 5 days of your life to celebrate 2 days. You're rushing to get rid of 5 days of your life. You're rushing, right? To get rid of 5 days to live 2 days on Saturday and Sunday for the weekend. Think like I want to accelerate my life. I want to end my life faster because I'm minusing 5 days every week because I want to live for Saturday and Sunday. Like, that's some twisted shit. Like, and I'm not knocking anybody. If that's like, you're like hump day, I can't wait to get to the week. Every day is the same for me. There is no separation. On Saturday mornings, I sleep 1 hour longer. I get to sleep to 7 a.m. instead of getting up at 5:30, 6 a.m., right? Because I go straight to the soapbox on Saturdays. And the days I don't go in there on Saturday, I'm sitting in front of the computer grinding out invoices or whatever else we got going on that needs to be done or fixing something. So, no, I don't. But your question was, is there a separation between personal and business? No, because what I do, I enjoy. So my relatives that give me talking about, oh, you should take a vacation. I enjoy going to work. I enjoy having meetings with other businesses or with my team members to come up with great ideas to build stuff or to try something new. I enjoy that. So I don't need to take a vacation to be like, oh, fuck, I need to take a week off because I'm tired of seeing Hamlet and Vocaz with this camera in front of me. I don't want to talk about creating content anymore. I don't want to talk about the security guards at the site. I need a week off. I don't want to talk about people's dirty underwears at the soapbox anymore. I enjoy what I do. So I don't need a vacation from what I do. So I hope I answered your question.
As Dorothy Johnson would say, you went all the way around Jack's barn, but you did.
I ran through the barn.
No, because through the barn would have been a lot faster.
I ran through the wall of the barn. I didn't go through the door. Do you think you can have a life separated from business?
I would say completely separate.
Completely separated was the question you asked me.
Well, based on my life, I don't do that well. I have friends who are very successful in businesses. Some have their own businesses. Others work for large corporations. And they also are very driven by their purpose, their God-given life purpose.
Okay.
And they're able to make time for time off. But their personal life is reflected in the choices that they make, the organizations with which they affiliate outside of work. And so they use their work to advance their life's purpose and their personal preferences. So I wouldn't say that they're completely separate, business life and personal life, but some of the most successful people that I know are able to integrate again their life goals, their personal preferences, and their life's purpose with their business life. And you can find a way to do that too. You ultimately have to determine what the ideal life looks like for you. And I'm gonna just take a detour right here real quickly. When you use your mind to for your work and for your business.
Don't tell me you're gonna say work smarter, not harder.
No. People who use their minds over their bodies, in many cases, will make more money.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah, especially in the age of, technology and other stuff and relationships.
Yeah, and I know somebody's out there going to say, yeah, but professional athletes, look at professional athletes. They make a lot of money. Yeah, but the owners make more. And the owners really have to have surgery.
And if you bring up athletes, do they make the majority of their money in what they do on a court, or do they make the majority of their money in endorsements and in business activities, which get amplified because of their being on the court, gets them exposure. And I believe if you run the data, when Michael Jordan, if we want to use somebody as an example, his salary was whatever when he was a player, but the majority of his money was coming from endorsements. Yeah. Hence the whole debacle, not debacle, but that whole thing they talked about, like Scottie Pippen's contract and how much he made, and it was all this, rumbling and dissatisfaction. So the majority of the money that you see them making, I beg to differ. It's not because they're running up and down the court or doing whatever sport they're in. It's what they do with their business acumen. Right. They got to be like, you have to have a certain appeal, like a certain persona for someone to say, I want you to endorse my brand. Because like, if you run around like doing some crazy stuff in the league, I don't think one of these brands is going to come to you and be like, yo, can you endorse our preschool books? Like, because you're a great role model. But in the league, he's running around slapping people and choking people out and all that.
Well, I don't think what kind of preschool you have.
Exactly. Well, yeah. Well,
But that's a good segue. Do you think people's personal decisions outside of work have an impact on their business? So that professional athlete that's going around slapping people, does that impact their ability to make money on the court and off the court through endorsements 100%. Or whatever?
100%.
And then how does that translate into a business owner?
I think I'll use myself as an example. Like, there are some people who probably won't do some things with me because they'll look at my social or they'll look at, this podcast and be like, I curse too much. Right. And they'll be like, well, he's cool. I like him. But because of X, like, that just doesn't appeal to me. And I get it. But I'm who I am. So I'm not going to pretend to be something to do something with somebody, have a relationship or to accomplish something, because you can only fake it for so long, which is this big discussion we always have about interviews and people being themselves. Right. So if I fake it to develop this relationship with Hamlet, because we both want to, build these businesses together, and I fake it, and then later on he's like, yo, this dude is like, oh man, like I can't rocks with him. He's a potty mouth. Like, that goes against what I'm establishing with my brand. You just can't do it.
Right.
But I think it's deeper than that if we talk about professional, like your personal decisions outside of work and being in business. Because the personal decisions you make and the business decisions you make, they both affect each other. And a good example is, if you're building a business and you're single, you can't just date anybody.
Why not?
Because who you get in a relationship with might not understand what you have to put in to build and grow your business. Been there, done that 100 times. They'd be like, oh, you like, why you doing this? Like, you dreaming. Like, why you want to do X? Like, why don't you just go get a regular job or go do X, Y, and Z? Like, I could do it, but am I going to be happy?
Oh, happiness is overrated.
Like,
you're like, so why date somebody if you're not going to be happy?
Like, I just be by myself then, right?
Right.
Like, it to me, those personal decisions or those business decisions, they affect each other. So if you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't understand what you're trying to build or your goals with your business, and they're like, oh, I want to go out more, or I want to go shopping, or I want to go do this, and you're like, well, I need to take that money I'm going to buy you. I don't know. I saw somebody posting about like some, like, I don't know, red bottoms or something. The money I could take for that, I could use that for payroll. I could use that for marketing. I could use that to boost some post on social, to run an ad campaign. I could use that to hire somebody part-time. Like, there's a lot of things I could do with it. I could buy some branded laundry bags for the soapbox. I could get some I don't know, some more stuff for the team members here at JSB. Like, there's a lot of things I could do with that versus going to buy them. Like, let's talk about Valentine's Day. That's personal and affect the business. What did you buy me for Valentine's Day?
I bought you a big bag of smiles.
And what did I buy you for Valentine's Day?
You bought me a big bag of smiles.
Because we made a personal decision to take that money and do something else with it than celebrate a commercialized holiday and putting money into the system. I'm just saying, they both affect each other. Your personal life and your business, they both affect each other.
I would say that I've been fortunate, and I would say you have too, but I can only reflect on my experience. I've been very fortunate that many of the people and organizations that we deal with in business are aligned well with my personal preferences, with my personal interests. And so in the course of doing business, my personal decisions, yes, they do impact the business, but often impact the business positively. As an example, yesterday I was on a phone call about a new initiative with a client, and it was a lot of people that I hadn't met before, but this one particular client, we have a relationship lasting over a decade. And so there were at least 15 people from the client's team that I know well, consider them friends. Earlier this morning, I got a text from one of the project team members saying, thanks for being on a call. I know you're busy, but I really appreciate the insights that you shared because you helped me see our challenge a little bit better,
right,
and better understand how we can address this issue that we're trying to tackle. And my response to her was, I'm glad to have a seat at the table, but I realize how important everybody's time is. And when I'm seated at the table, I want to make sure that I bring value and that I make a difference. Not included in the messages, because I want to be invited back.
Right.
Because that's how people consider me a thought leader, is by the value that I bring when I'm with them.
Right.
That way, when I'm not at the table, my name will come up in spaces and places that I, on my own, would never be able to reach. And so I'm mindful of that in my personal life, that I stay on the straight and narrow, make good decisions.
Yeah, you're way better than me.
Because it will have an impact, not just on
reckless.
our family, but on this business, on the soapbox potentially, and potentially on the partners with whom we do business.
Right.
So that's very important to be mindful of that. You can go and do whatever you want, but know that to every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You want that equal and opposite reaction to work in your favor. So be mindful of that. Yo, Cope.
Yes.
Considering that we have a business that runs 24/7 and that we're always on the job, right? How do you separate business hours from downtime? Here we go with the laughs again.
What is downtime? Downtime is when I close my eyes and fall asleep. That's it. And that doesn't count when I fall asleep in the car or when I doze off working on my computer, sitting on the couch. Downtime for me is I close my eyes, I go to bed, and I wake up and I'm like, damn, it's the next morning. Let's go. Like, again, it goes back to what we said earlier, the whole work-life integration. There is no down. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying people shouldn't take vacations. You shouldn't take time off. You shouldn't have hobbies. You shouldn't go do things that you love to recharge. Yes, there is some things like I'll do to recharge. But if I think about things I do, it all kind of relates back to my business. Like I started with the plants now, right? Just brought me a couple plants. And so we have I don't know. And then that turned into more plants. So I got 10, 12 plants in the house.
Plant daddy in the house.
Right? But I look at plants now like the business. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to grow a business, start a business, I encourage you to get a plant. And not an easy plant to take care of. Get something that's in the mid to hard range, because this is my theory. And this is gonna be some new somebody's gonna end up writing a white paper on this, trust me. Plants cannot talk to you, right? Almost like a baby. When you have a baby, you have to figure out what it needs. You read, there are instructions when you buy the plant, how to take care of it. There are things you can read about starting a business, running a business, growing it. But at the end of the day, you still have to work with that plant, even though you have the instructions. It says water it once a week. But the instructions don't tell you how much water. It doesn't say give it 3 liters of water. Right. It just says water it once a week. You have to figure out by watching the plant, how much light it gets and turning it, to see how it's reacting to what you're doing, and then look for the signs that say it needs more light, it needs more water. So I'm saying you should have hobbies and things, but to me, the things that I do outside of work, they kind of relate back to work. And I enjoy what I do for work. So it's all about this integration. I don't know, at night, I'll be looking at reading articles or reading books that have to do with business, or I might read something that helps you develop personally, but I'm looking to develop personally, and how do I apply that to be a better leader, or how to run meetings better, or I don't a whole bunch of stuff, but it all relates back to that. So the plants, you should get a plant. Mm-hmm. All you new entrepreneurs or someone, and figure out, you have to figure out what it needs. It's like a business. You figure out what it needs and you give it that attention and you give it the things it needs, and then you keep nurturing it and growing and paying attention to it, right? It's the other plants, the leaves. I was like, oh, dying. Took the things off and read about how do you propagate, put it in the soil, did that, and then it started growing a new thing out of it. I was like, yes, plant daddy.
You'll have to do a whole nother episode.
Yeah, but
on your
I'm telling you, there's going to be a white paper on being able to take care of a plant and run a business. The similarities of taking care of a plant, growing it, and growing a business. I'm telling you, trust me.
Well, let me give you real quick spare time.
Go to my Instagram.
Spare time.
Go to my website. I'm going to have a whole vlog on how to plant. Let me stop. Go ahead.
So
for $3.99.
Spare time, downtime, that's negotiable what that means. For me, what I do is I've started waking up earlier and making sure that I have quiet time. We were joking earlier that when Waleed is working, he'll turn on Netflix and he always turns on movies and shows that he's already watched. And this thing is like, it's just background noise.
Right, it's background because I'm not going to watch it
because I've already seen it. But for me, it's important to have some quiet time. I have been walking around the park, but with all this snow and crazy weather, I'm doing that. Having quiet time allows me to meditate and to really flush through my thoughts. So then once I start my day, I have a level of clarity around what I want and need to do. I'm able to better prioritize what gets done during the day. And in addition to that, I find myself being a more empowered leader when I start the day here at the office, because now my mind has been preparing before we arrive at the office, and I can go to team members. Okay, what didn't you do yesterday? What do you plan to do today? How can I support you? And then now they have a more guided method to think through how they will approach and attack the day. So make sure as a business owner that you make some quiet time so that you can be alone with your thoughts and get the most out of your thoughts to get the best out of your business. We're running short on time, so I'm going to bring it back, the conversation back, right?
So wait a minute.
What?
Somebody's in business or new to business.
Yes.
What advice, or I hate using the word tips, or what words of wisdom would you give them for them to help grow their business during their downtime?
All right, great. So it kind of leads into what I was about to say, right? We're here in the middle of February, right? We're 2020, we done already sealed that book. And to begin the year, a lot of people had resolutions about what they were going to do. Resolutions don't work for most people. But to be more successful this year than we were last year, I've done a couple of things differently. Like, I'm the program queen. So people invite me to participate in a bunch of different programs for, what do you call it? Capacity building, leadership training, and the like. And so the current program that we're working through is the EY Entrepreneurial Access.
I was just going to mention this other program because I was about to heat this mic up, but go ahead.
And so through the Entrepreneurs Access Network, we have access to a relationship advisor from EY, the consulting firm, and they're kind of sharing insight to help us run the business better. But they're also giving us access to some of the tools that EY uses with its large corporate clients. So it's forcing me to look at the business through a different lens. And so the tips that I have for the folks in Commerce and Chill Land, especially if you're new or aspiring entrepreneur, is think about where you want your business to be in 5 years. And you might not have any clue. You make cheesecakes. You might just say, I want to make enough cheesecakes so I can get my hair and nails done. I want to make enough cheesecakes so I can pay my car note.
Respect.
That's fine. Just know that if that's what you're planning to do, the world needs you to have a much larger vision than that. So think 5 years out. And then based on your goal for 5 years, how do you chunk that up over each of the next years? So make it a smaller goal based on that 5-year window. And then based on where you plan to be 365 days out, how do you chunk that up into quarters?
So you're just breaking it down from 5 years down to whatever the smallest piece is going to be,
right?
Like
but the
daily
thing
or
is,
hourly or whatever.
It's like with GPS, you can't get to your destination unless you enter it in the GPS. So you need to enter in your mind what your GPS is, the address for your 5-year destination, and then you can figure out where to turn.
Plot the course out like GPS does.
Right.
Okay.
And then that will impact how you use your resources, how you spend your time, how you leverage people. Do you need more people? Do you need outside services? And that will inform what you do on a day-to-day basis. So now when I'm planning, I'm not just thinking about the day. I'm thinking about my top 7 goals for the entire week based on what I need to accomplish by the end of this year, based on where I say we're going to be in 5 years. And that gives me another space that I can be flexible and make adjustments. But it also gives me guidelines by which I can get the most out of the tools and resources that our relationship advisor and EY have given me access to. So you might not have an access to a relationship advisor. You might not have access to the tools, but you have a banker. You probably may have an accountant. You may have mentors and advisors who are already in business. If you tell them your 5-year goal, you probably can get more assistance from them, more clarity and focus from them than if you just tell them, I want to sell enough cheesecakes to buy my car.
Which could be perfectly fine. If your goal is to buy a car and your side hustle is to pay for your toys, respect. Just do it. Just know what your path is.
All right. And in closing, what are some tips you can give to new business owners to help them grow their businesses during their downtime?
Well, downtime. If you're starting a new business, or if you start a new business, you're looking to grow a business, don't ask me about what to do in your downtime, because you should have zero downtime, because you should be focusing on growing that business all the time. And I'm not saying like don't sleep and all that bullshit, because I don't believe in that whole like people hashtag no sleep or this thing about
Red Bull Mafia.
Yeah, and all like I don't believe that, because we've had that discussion internally when we stay late or we work, and I'll be like go home. Because there are times when you stay late and you come in, but if you don't somewhere try, and there's whatever the studies say, you can't make up for sleep you lost or whatever. But if I work till like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock tonight, and I normally come in at 8 a.m. and I come in at 8 a.m. tomorrow, I'm going to be somewhat tired, because I've lost time that I normally spend at home getting ready, getting rest to come.
Right.
So the next day I should probably leave a little earlier so I can go home and get some rest. I have to catch up some way. So I'm not saying do that, neglect sleep and all that. But I'm saying if you're building a business, you're starting a new business, there's no downtime. You should be squeezing every hour, every second, every minute you can out of some part of your life to put back into that business. So maybe it's not downtime, it's called sacrificing something so you have more time to put to that business. So instead of watching whatever episode of something on Netflix, you take that 2 hours and you put it into something to grow your business. Or instead of going out with your friends wearing a mask at the restaurant or sitting in one of these little plastic huts out on the curb, you say, you know what, I'm going to pass on the beers this time, because the money I would have spent on the beers and the food, I'm going to put it back into my business and use that time to put into the business also so I can grow it.